I'm always down for a studio's reboot of one of their famous pieces of IP. I know it's going to be bad every time. I don't care. I go because that's what I do. But First Omen's not like that, Brett. First Omen isn't just like your run-of-the-mill
Mm.
studio rehash. It was really confidently and really beautifully and scarily made by director Arkasha Stevenson. So what is it about? It's in the 70s, a nun arrives at a nunnery in the Vatican, and blah blah blah. She gives birth to the devil. I don't know what we want me to say. It is notable in horror, always sort of what is the horror responding to, and I think our most effective horror movies are responding to something. In of recent memory, Get Out was a cultural phenomenon because it was responding so truthfully and funnily and powerfully to current events. So it's really no surprise these days that 2 weeks apart from each other, we get a movie about a nun that has to deal with some insane birth that sort of removes her from her own bodily autonomy, and she has to suffer the Roman Catholic consequences. And that is hyper resonant these days as we sort of resurrect a 200-year-old laws regarding abortion and what women can do with their body. So this is where this sort of horror tremor is coming from. But I do love in The First Omen how that's very, very obvious. Exactly what I just said is true. But also, this movie is not one of these modern horror movies that is so insistent on pushing its like trauma vision, sort of modern mental health nonsense onto our horror faves. The First Omen is totally happy just being a satanic freaking film with a lot of beautiful, scary, bold, satanic imagery. Most notably, of course, during a birthing scene when you see very, 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 very much vagine, to quote the Sacha Baron Cohen's character Borat. Um, but yeah, we have the devil's hand coming out of a cervix in no short order, and it was very powerful and scary, and I love it.
I liked The First Omen quite a bit. I guess, and I wanted to see what you thought about this. I mean, it's very there's a moment in the original Omen, which I'm sure you remember, when poor David Warner gets his head cut off by a plate of glass coming off a truck, and his head spins in the air, just spraying blood, and it's simultaneously like sort of silly and campy and beautiful and horrifying all at once, and that getting those three things, experiencing those three things together to me is the elusive holy grail that I always look for in horror, where something is it's a little campy and it's a little technicolory, but it's also beautiful and it's terrifying. When those three things happen at once, I'm in heaven. The First Omen, like a lot of contemporary horror, is just so dour, though. It's so dour and dark, and everything is just sort of like the darkest, dourest sort of the nooks and crannies of this
I know.
disgusting convent and all the like places to get locked away in it, and it just and I just long for just a little bit of that moment from the original where David Warner gets his head cut off, and I don't know, and or even that moment where all the
You know,
monkeys attack the
I
car.
know.
There's just there's something that they
What
used to be able to do in horror in the 70s that I just don't. Now everything is like, I don't know what the impulse is to make everything so dour, and I want a little bit. That's why, to me, that's why I loved Midsummer. Midsummer was one examples of like, and look, the tone of Midsummer is very dour, but you get like light and
Yeah, it's a great
color, and you
movie.
like. I just want a little bit more of that. It doesn't have to be every movie, but I would like a little bit more of that. I love when horror plays off of sort of light and color and camp in a way, and doesn't need to be just the darkest, dourest, dankest thing ever to be horrifying.